Okay, and we're live here at the Good Lie and the Greater Good podcast on Sunday, June 12th, 2022. This is episode number 10. Had 9.5 last time. Had to do some renumbering based on an audio issue. So welcome, and hope everyone had a great week. Looking forward to a
Audio
good
issue
week.
being I didn't hit record.
As that is Walter. I am Juan. Walter just said hi, sort of. Yes, it's okay. Things happen. Buttons get pushed, and you know, sometimes things don't go as planned. So, we basically a little get together weekend recap. We're gonna talk about some ambitions from the Senate trying to make themselves feel relevant about with the guns situations with trying to restrict or to better regulate weapons, and also the an issue in Idaho with some feds or some dummies who got arrested for
Blanco supremacists.
Blanco supremacists. Kind of funny. They sat on it for a day before anyone talked about it, which seems weird.
The mainstream media.
That because they seem to think this is the biggest problem in the world, or at least in our country. So, and some few other things. We have some things we're probably gonna come up and we'll chat about. So, why don't you take it away there, big guy?
Yeah. So I will put the story up so you guys can see that we're not making stuff up. So this popped up early, like in the afternoon. This came up on Twitter, I guess, yesterday afternoon, and I thought it was such a nothing thing because if it was real, I figured it would start popping up all over the internet immediately because this is like the smoking gun for certain individuals to show that there is a Blanco supremacist problem in the country. And it wasn't until this afternoon that it started popping up in the mainstream media. And I'm not exactly sure who exactly Market Watch is, other than they come up in the mainstream news from time to time. So this wasn't actually being directly run through like ABC, CNN, whatever. So when I was in the reserves after I got out of active duty, I got sent to Fort Irwin to do, I think it was called an OC, which is observer controller, which was like helping a unit get ready to go deploy to one of the sandboxes over yonder way. And there was one day we had this lieutenant that was in charge of a platoon. He was he was an MP with a Ranger tab, which is kind of a rarity, and he was all super Johnny gun ho about his job. So when over in Fort Irwin, it's called the box. It's a training environment. So once you enter the box, it's like a fake live combat zone. So everything is live there. It's scripted, but it's live. There's not supposed to be downtime because you're in a simulated combat environment. And so that what this young lieutenant was doing in his downtime between scripted activities was he was doing stuff with his platoon, which I would advise not to do, because it was like your guys aren't having any downtime. Like they're going out and they're running like a 12-hour fake op, and then they're coming out, and then you're like, we're gonna go, do a dismounted patrol around the fake city that we're around. And so one day he decides to do this, and he catches the Op 4, which is like the simulated bad guys loading up their vehicles to go do a scripted terrorist attack. So he runs his squad of like of young soldiers, inexperienced soldiers, into this Op 4, loading up their fake AKs in the back of their car, and he's like, haha, I got you at gunpoint. Like, look at me, I did the right thing, because everybody's telling him, knock this off, you're dumb. And then he walks into what he's been saying that he will get to do if he gets to run his platoon the way that he wants to run his platoon. He gets to run into the bad guys. So here I am as the observer controller. I wasn't actually there because I was back someplace else, but I was listening to it over the radio, and he's sitting there jumping up and down, happy what he had done. Well, on the command net, they're basically like, what is he doing? Like he was not supposed to be out here doing this. Tell him to let them go and go away. And me and the actual full-time observer controller are like, but it's live. Like it's live, it's in play. We can't just like tell him to let them go. And the Op 4's yelling like we're not live when they're in a live area because they were loading up their stuff in a live area. So this is going on for like an hour, and finally, like I think it was like the full bird colonel comes on, and he's like, lie to these guys, lie to them, say like they were wrong for doing what they did. Let the Op 4 pack their stuff up. They got places to go. Just lie to these kids and let them go. And I bring all this up because when I heard about this story, the Blanco supremacists in Idaho, I immediately thought of this situation that I had dealt with when I was in the Army in Fort Irwin, because these guys were loading up a U-Haul. Supposedly, this is the story that's coming out. These guys were loading up a U-Haul in some parking lot, and somebody saw them loading up a U-Haul in their parking lot. It was like, there's a whole bunch of these weirdos out there in this parking lot doing some stuff, and then the cops pulled them over, and it was like, hey, we got these guys on conspiracy to commit, a riot. And I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting there going like, because you couldn't even fucking load up your fucking U-Haul correctly without like alerting everybody and their mother that you were doing this thing. So my co-host, as I picked him up and drove him over here today, I was using the term glowy. And if you're, a normie and you don't know what glowy means, it's basically like a Fed. It's an agent of the state, either a literal sworn law enforcement officer or a for lack of a better way to put it, how would you put it? Like an informant. Right?
CI.
Yeah, someone that is being used in such a manner to create these type of situations. So when I saw this yesterday and I started reading into this stuff, I was like, I'm the skeptic here. I was like, this is a Fed op. This is 100% a Fed op. Like the level of incompetence that is going on behind this, because like these guys, as part of Patriot Front, were supposed to go to some park and disrupt an LGBTQ group, it says, and they never got there. And I was telling my co-host as we were driving over, I was like, hey, if the powers that be legitimately wanted this to go down, like they would have gotten the video and the pictures of this Blanco supremacist group like beating these poor defenseless gay and lesbian, transgender, in the park, having a whole like 31 guys zip tied or on a lawn with law enforcement around is not a very good indicator that we have a functioning Blanco supremacist problem in the country, to the point, as I brought up earlier, that if you need to go draw these guys from multiple states to get together to go to Idaho of all places to disrupt this rally, you don't really have a lot of them. You're looking real hard for a problem when there's like these guys. I was reading them today.
13 states.
13 states, yes.
So you have the number one, Merrick Garland, our esteemed Beavis. I call him Beavis. He just looks like Beavis to me, and he's apparently not that much brighter. So this is their number one issue with the Justice Department is white supremacy. And you have 31 dudes in Idaho, which used to be the KKK capital, like 30 years ago, from 13 different states that can't fit the whole.
You got to import your problem.
I thought you were joking when you said it. I looked it up. I can only find it in a couple of different areas. If you're saying that the biggest concern for, name it, the sky is falling, and the sky is actually falling, and no one wants to report on it, it seems a bit strange. That's all. It seems a bit convenient and a bit strange. And these are the same dingleberries that were running around with black polos and khakis on a few months ago. Where was that when they were marching around like?
What are you talking about? Like, was it Charleston?
Might have been Charleston, where they're parading around. I don't even know the best word to describe it, but and they all had Patriot Front polos on, looking like, and literally everybody, including people I know who that wouldn't normally think this for like, oh, that seems kind of weird. Like maybe those guys are federal aid, like maybe those are the feds, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, here we go. You have either incompetent white supremacists to the point where not even that many exist and they're painfully incompetent, or there's some shenanigans going on. And I think even the the chief of police in Coeur d'Alene said, when asked about the U-Haul truck, how do you know to inspect the truck? We have informants.
I gotta check this. I think we have an audio problem again.
Why do you think that?
Because it's not coming through my phone. So keep talking in case
Okay, cool. I will keep talking. So we, again, when the biggest fear for the country is these people. I want to say a different word, dickheads, but yes, dickheads. We should. Yep, there we go.
All right, we got good audio.
We should be concerned about white supremacy as the same way we should be concerned about anyone looking to do violence. Now, they were arrested as on a misdemeanor for attempting. Hold on, let me get the verbiage right. They were arrested misdemeanor. Where is it? With intention to riot. The other one, which holds a federal charge, is the crossing state lines. Now, what's funny about this is the Kyle Rittenhouse issue where he shot those POSs. They both came from out of state with the intention of doing harm.
No.
Yes.
With the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, that if he had committed,
not Kyle, the two people he shot had come from out of state,
yes,
against parole with weapons.
Yes.
So that would be a concern, for any,
yes.
They're actually these guys hadn't even done anything yet. Like you said, the confusing part is, wouldn't you want these guys to go out there and beat a bunch
if you're telling a narrative,
if you're steering a ship to a port that you're trying to get everyone to, you would want this to happen. You would want them to go through with whatever they were going to go through with. But again,
yeah, you're so incompetent that you can't even load up a van. And as the thing is, whether or not these are glow boys, these are agents of the state in some capacity, or some of them are informants or whatnot, it doesn't matter, because like if your extremist problem in the country is limited to the people that have a hard time getting together to load up their van, they can't even get the conspiracy part right to move on to the actual execution of the plan, you may not have a problem to which the government needs to be making new legislation to deal with your domestic terrorist / blanco supremacist problem that's going on in the country. So like I definitely am a little skeptical of part A, which is we have a particular problem that needs to have government intervention, and 2, which is that once again, the government is causing a problem that it can come in and fix. Like these are two issues that are going on with this story. And I'm, after seeing this, how this was conducted over the last couple of days, I'm the skeptic, and I'm definitely like, feds.
Yeah, come on, man. I hate saying those words. I used to say them all the time. Now I gotta strip that from my vocabulary. You are the guy that's like, no, man, a lot more obviously logical with and more
I believe in chaos.
Yeah, a lot less strings being pulled, as opposed to wind them up and let them loose kind of situation. But yeah, I mean, this has been going back to the agent provocateur idea, back to the Black Panthers in the 60s, where they were, and even before that.
We don't even have to talk about. If we're just talking about right now, there's talk about the Texas shooting in Uvalde, the Buffalo shooter. There's talk that they were in the same, like, essentially message board. I think it was called Discord. They were in the same Discord with potentially a former federal agent. There was talk about that. There's what are some of the other events that were going on that they were literally talking that there was a, I know the Whitmer case was falling apart. The plan to kidnap her. There was more federal agents in a car than there were actual criminals at one point.
8 out of 12, I think, were federal agents or federal informants.
And then with our January 6th grandstanding, the DOJ can neither confirm or deny if and how many federal agents were on the ground, and I'm going to use air quotes for those who can't see me, participating in the January 6th debacle. And there's still an individual by the name of Ray Epps that has not been very well documented on who he is. So like I said, I'm the skeptic, and so slowly but surely over the last couple of years, I am going over to the side of something doesn't look right here with these things that are going on.
Yeah, dude, that's where our conversations for years have been similar, but with the actions or inactions, depending on what events were happening, it makes you kind of take pause. That's all.
Yeah.
Just ask questions. Just say, this is weird.
Yes.
Look at the picture. All right, whatever. Maybe they didn't want people to see their face. Maybe they're scared of coronavirus. I don't know. But what, you're going to go out there and stand out like sore thumbs at a gay, LG, whatever, BTQ plus event.
Well, it's supposed to be like a counter protest or something.
Yeah. A counter doesn't, whatever they were going to do. Who the hell knows? The extent of the article is virtually nothing.
Yes.
There's almost nothing said of the villains that you've been talking about relentlessly for however many years.
Supposedly, I was on Twitter today, and there are lefty Twitter sites that have already ID'd like most of these guys.
As
they've released the list of all these guys' names. Yeah, they were released today, and I don't want to bring names up onto the podcast. But
you mean as far as redneck.
Yeah, like what states some of these guys came from. A whole bunch of these guys have been identified. You can, if you want to, you can pull up like the main guy, the Patriot Front leader.
Yeah, what was his name?
He's been identified. I saw him on tape yesterday where he was wearing a cowboy hat, and he looks like some cowboy because he's from Texas, but he looks like a guy that would get blown over by like a very strong wind. But yeah, like they've most of these they released the guys' names, and they let's just call it Antifa groups on Twitter have already identified most of these guys, and they don't look like, I was discussing with you, like they may be guys that want to be involved with the feds that are allowing themselves to be manipulated, or they could be generally.
This is the guy that's leading. I did this again. This is all brand new to me. I'm sorry to interrupt. This dude looks like, what the fuck? Okay, yeah, I don't get it at all, man. This guy looks like Chachki's little brother. I mean, he got some sweet hair. He weighs about 140 pounds, dripping wet, and well, maybe that's his problem. I don't know. Maybe he needs to work out. It helps a lot of people.
If you don't mind, I know we have an audience, and we're learning.
Yes.
What was the guy's name?
Thomas, Thomas Rousseau. Thomas Ryan Rousseau. Go back. Two more. There you go, right there. Click on that. Go to images, and there he is, the far right side. Yeah. Anyways, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I was
the picture that I saw. Away. There he is. The guy with the beard.
Is he? Yeah. He looks harder.
Yeah, I saw him get pulled off the. I was watching a stream yesterday, and we were getting pulled off the U-Haul. Jesus. But this is their, the founder.
Oh my God, these guys, dude. Well, I mean, you know what? They found him. They found the white supremacists, all 31 of them from 13 fucking states.
Yeah, took a big. There you go.
Oh, there you go. I mean, dude, he looks a lot hard. Cue up one of the older ones. He looks like a little bitch. I don't know what. Just that picture right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks. Maybe he did some steroids. I don't know, but whatever his. He probably got beat up a lot. I don't. That's my assessment of the guy. I don't know, but so yeah, there's this going on, and then at the same time, there's people who are threatening or not ruling out violence against the Supreme Court,
Yes.
and no one's doing shit.
And you have the Democrats. I was going to say the opposition party. You have the Democrats that are out there and they're not willing to condemn not just the potential violence to Supreme Court justice, but the actual arrest of a guy who is threatening
who traveled from California,
yes,
with a plan
via Seattle,
to assassinate a sitting Supreme Court justice.
Yes.
So, dude, I don't know. They're not even trying to give a fuck about hiding anything. Like nobody can give. They won't even pay for more security for these people.
Yeah, AOC I guess was bragging about the fact that she voted down.
Yes. So I don't know. Again, you're the skeptic. I'm the guy that's generally sits here and goes, well, what about? I mean, to me, look, these guys are either the dumbest human beings alive.
Yes.
Or feds. Yes. Okay. And it's blatantly obvious that they don't care about violence as long as it means to their end.
Well, and like
unfortunately,
like I pointed out, if your domestic terrorists are so incompetent that they would get caught loading their U-Haul up, you don't need to give more power and more money to the government to go out and suss these guys out, because they're going to get caught by somebody standing in a Walmart parking lot going like, that doesn't look right. I mean, like, so you can pick your narrative behind this one way, shape, or form, but like it does not mesh with we have this massive domestic terrorism problem going on that people are trying to sell, because these guys are either incompetent or incompetent feds. What one of the two? Like those, pick which one, pick what narrative. Like I said, the optics of these guys showing up there with their shields and their bats and their smoke bomb, and bashing some LGBT elemental P's is probably worse than this optic of them getting pulled over and put on their knees in flexi cuffs. Like this is not a good optic for the left wing, other than a particular group of people on the internet that would sit there and go, they told us these guys exist, and look, they exist right here. It's like, no, like my co-host and I were talking, like if you can't go drum up 31 dudes in a city a million people, like then you don't have a problem in that one city. If you can't drum up 31 dudes, or if you can barely drum up 31 dudes out of 13 states, there literally is no problem. Because
I mean, that's I think anyone can find 31 people in their general vicinity to do just about anything. Yeah. Like pick a hobby and you'll find 31 people that be like, I'll do that shit. Yeah. And it's such a rampant issue. That this is the case. So hey, I'm gonna keep on this to see what's going on. It's nice to have you go, you be the one going. I feel like smells it, because after the Uvalde and the Buffalo thing, this
is the week that they decided to put January 6th on prime time, to pretend like they've something that they haven't been able to find good solid evidence on in a year and a half. They magically they said they had new evidence, and all they had was professionally edited video with audio that didn't have anything to do with, like, I mean, you had voiceovers. Yeah. It was so scary, and you get to watch. Like, I mean, it was a hit piece.
It was a produced what would they call that? A produced preview.
Yeah.
Or a trailer.
Yes.
Is the best I can describe. And look, if they're if there was some things that were revealing, there is more evidence of a plan to insurrect right now with this Supreme Court issue. Out and out planning, people working together, not going to condone violence, blah, 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 than there is with the January 6th thing. I'm just, you pulling some stuff up.
Yeah, I just showing if anybody's watching it, if they want to see stuff on January 6th, it is occurring. It is occurring.
Yeah, it sounds. What did they say? Ex-Trump manager.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't care. Like I watched it. I watched 75-80% of it on Thursday night, and it was embarrassing because like they don't got anything new. They were specifically leaving out certain context because they're trying to sell a narrative.
Well, they have all these videos that they're not going to obviously show of people opening the doors from the inside and waving people in, like random dudes like wearing masks. Like, well, what about that guy?
Yeah.
Anybody know what that guy was doing there?
How to watch the second January 6th.
Well, these people are fucking.
Yeah.
Well, it was actually relatively good to see the Saturday Night Live bashing on him.
Oh yeah, I didn't see. Yeah,
I saw some funny. They actually, are seeing that they aren't doing so well. What is this?
Ads.
Oh yeah, well, it's kind of how they fund. They're losing money because they suck. And even if they're funded by BlackRock, they still have to, drum up money. What were we gonna talk about?
Oh no, I was the interesting thing. I was on Liz Cheney's Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is trash, but it's
everyone knows it.
I like going on there because like everybody gets to control their own narrative, and if you can see who's on there doctoring their own narrative. And the funny thing about Liz Cheney's Wikipedia is the whole thing is like, she always voted this way with Trump. Like, 92% of the time she voted with Trump. Like she was Trump until January 6th happened. And then January 6th happened. She decided to she had to vote to impeach at that point. And I'm sitting there going like, why are you selling so hard that because she's
about to get rocked.
Well, no, she's not. Yeah, she's about to get rocked. Like 70% against her in the polling. I think her opponent's like Hagman or something like that. Like,
you could have put up a fucking dildo with a cowboy hat, and it would have got more votes than she did.
Yeah, an inflatable man would have.
The one with the arms.
Yes,
that go
the flaily arms.
The flaily arms at the old auto shop.
So she's on there, and like I said, like her Wikipedia page is trying to save face that she's not this like carpet bagging rhino that she's been made out to be. And like I said, I don't have a very much of an opinion of her other than I don't know why she voted to impeach, because I didn't think there was anything that I personally thought there was. If there was anything, there was more to try and impeach him the first time they went after him instead of the second time for this January 6th stuff. So whatever changed her mind to go after him on January 6th. And the other Republican, and I don't remember his name, but he's not even running for he's not even running for re-election. So it's 7 Democrats and one that definitely has an axe to grind, and then another one that has no dog in the fight, and they're manufacturing this narrative, and they're trying to say that again, like these are domestic terrorists and Blanco supremacists that are out there in the wild, and they need to do something about it. But that's going on. So the other story is what the Senate announced today that they've
reached an agreement on some gun legislation. Yeah, it's different than obviously you went over the House. House is HR 7910.
Yeah, 7910.
Yeah, it's different. This is a bipartisan group of I think about 18 to 20 different
well, they say they have 10 Republicans that are willing to jump ship, and that makes them pass the filibuster.
Yeah, the 60.
If they get all the Democrats to vote for it, and then the 10, and there's nothing, it's just a framework they're saying right now. And like it says right here on the thing, Bob, it says framework. I can't find my mouse cursor because I'm on the other side of the room. This is awesome. So anyway, they have a framework, and the biggest things about this framework is it's basically they're going to lean on states to set up red flag laws, and the red flag laws probably are unconstitutional to begin with, and they're probably going to get met with very severe opposition.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have been 19 states, and they don't work so well.
No.
All the states that have them are still the highest gun violence states. Without getting into numbers, I know people don't like numbers, but it's the Illinois, New York. I mean, they have these laws already on the books.
Yeah.
And they aren't doing anything to suppress the gun violence that they're intended to. Because if you want to get something, like if we talked about before, if you want, the war on drugs has been an abject failure. So drugs are easy to get now. What did the one senator from Alabama said? He said that cocaine's easier and cheaper to get in my state. Everyone just can do cocaine and go run everywhere than gas, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's not far off. Believe me, I deal with the ease of drug acquisition every day. I mean, people can get it anytime, anywhere. It's everywhere. And the same thing's gonna happen with guns. It's been that way.
Yeah, homeless camps are open air drug
and sex and rape dens. And there's 19 states, including Washington, D.C. I don't know what this is going to do, man. This is not going to do anything. I don't know what they're, besides give them some fodder when they go before the chopping block, the midterm, saying we did this.
Yes,
that's the only thing.
I think that's what it is. It's just like Biden dangling that student loan forgiveness. It's look what I was able to do with this opposition. Then we're discussing if they're functioning in reality to know, like, they know the bloodbath is coming. It just, like, anybody that thinks that going out there and voting for these guys, it's trying to stave off as much of the bleeding that's going to happen as possible versus stopping the bleeding. They're not going to stop the bleeding. Like, gas is too high. There's too much inflation. The economy's taking a turn. The only reason why we don't have an actual recession is because it hasn't been declared yet. And we won't know that until, like, I think next quarter's numbers are out. So, like,
I mean,
for them to actually be able to declare the recession that we're probably literally in right now.
Well, that is going to be regionally dependent on whether you're going to start seeing those things or have started seeing those things. Because everywhere is going to react differently. I was listening to some people talk who are much more with the the financial side of it. So it's going to be, there are other areas in the country that are starting to see some issues with the economy more than others. And it definitely, but they're doing a good job of their downplay of things, of, like, on the news and with their talking heads
well, this is what we talk about. It depends on who's listening to what, because, like, if you're listening to the news, then you're buying what they're selling, you're probably a lost cause anyway. I don't know who listens to mainstream media and thinks that, like, they're getting the brass tacks of what's going on in the world, right? Because we were talking about,
I know people work, man. That's where they get to.
Well, I'm not saying people don't. I'm just saying,
but
how much is it going to change anybody's mind? That's what I'm getting at. Like going back to the gun control conversation, like, there are a lot of people on one side of the argument that are like, if you pass any legislation, I'm going to be against it. Yeah. And then you have other people on the other side of the aisle that are like, I want to repeal 2A. And so depending on, I was going to say narrow, but depending on how wide the gap, who's in the gap, what they're asking for, there's a lot of people that are saying, like, well, I would like common sense gun control. And then when asked what is common sense, they're like,
Oh no, I don't have any.
I don't know, but the news tells me like common sense. So the issue at this point is the divide with gun control may be so deep that anybody on the right is like, if you do anything, I'm going to be against it, as opposed to what's happening with the Senate right now is there's a lot of people on the left that are saying this does nothing, because it pretty much does nothing. So going into the economy, there's a lot of people that, like, if they believe the economy, like you're saying, they're doing a good job. And I don't disagree with you. They're doing a good job to the people that are in that sphere of mainstream news. Listen to that stuff. Their diversity hire press secretary.
She's not doing a great job.
No,
but
if they look at her and they go like, oh, stunning and brave,
no, you're right. They don't listen to a word she says because she stumbles around and ends everything with "it's racist." What I was more alluding to, the fact was, whether or not you believe in election fortification, the talking heads have been on these different news sites, including, well, not Southern Standard, but some other ones, MSN or whoever, NBC, CBS, CNN, is that the Republicans are going to be scrambling. It's
so bright. It hurts my eyes.
It is fucking that is definitely glowing. But yeah, it's that deflection from what should be pretty obvious, so that if there is any fortification, or there was, or there is going to be, it makes it more sellable that they've been deflecting any, bloodbath talk to, what are you talking about? Like, everything's good, and it's, I don't know how, when SNL starts taking a dump on you, like, you done fucked up, because that's this whole network of people that's job is to not shine a light on how on you as you're like fumble fucking around. And that's, he's crossed that line, that point of 33%, and that's a very liberal poll.
I think it was like 36 or something.
33 and 21% of independents. Right. So, and again, look, I'm not saying that had Trump got elected, he would have solved, world hunger. But I think that a lot of the issues we're having right now, we wouldn't have. And it's just based on like having a partially functioning human being.
Yes.
So it's hard. It's
not just the partially functioning human being. It's the human infrastructure that he brought in were ridiculously incompetent. Like, I don't think anybody that he brought in has the ability to function at a higher level than he does. There's no, like, your fucking Secretary of the Treasury said she didn't think like inflation was going to work the way it did.
Remember when
your Secretary of Transportation was like, I got to go raise my gay love child, instead of like dealing with the fucking actual problem that's going on in the country at the time. Like, you have the, it's
so cute.
It's not just that we have a senile old man, a senile racist pervy traitorous old man, whose political views tend to sway in the direction of money and the zeitgeist, the public zeitgeist. The people that were brought in by hook or by crook to be on his council were all retarded. Like, again, functional, mildly unfunctional retards.
I mean, this is the best. I've been actually, sorry to interrupt. You said it, I said it. I can't think of a better description to me. I don't know. At some point when you're that deep into the religious ideology of the lefty, like, your brain stops growing, you stop learning, having neurons fire, and you end up, not able to speak complete sentences. That is a retardation of your intelligence.
Yes.
That's all. That should be very plainly obvious. And so,
what was it? Was it Saudi Arabia released their skit? I mean, like
they're not gonna. They told them we're not even gonna talk to you.
Yeah.
The Mexican president was
it's not even worth showing up
to your stupid whatever it is. And at this point, I would be inclined to know what these things are, but and not sound like, oh, to his event, whatever it is, but it's so useless to even remember or to pay attention because it's so dumb. Every single thing that, like you said, that they're doing is just, it's more garbage in the garbage. That's all it is.
I'm the skeptic, and there's a lot of people that believe at this point that the only thing that they're actually doing, and they're saying this, they're literally saying this, is that they're intentionally trying to burn the country to the ground. And I'm the skeptic, and I'm like, I understand these people's viewpoint, because when they're saying things like it's good that the gas prices are so high because it makes people need to go buy electric cars, like it makes you go, huh, they must be doing this on purpose, except for the fact that they constantly go out there and when they talk, they show that they don't know how these things function. Again, like I read, 7910, like they don't know how guns work. They don't know how the law works. They don't know how any of this stuff works. They're just like, this is the way I want. Like my cultural entropy this week, when I was talking about the councilman or councilwoman from Boston, like she doesn't realize that like racial profiling is illegal. Like, and you or I may be able to argue behind the behind the scenes about whether or not it semantically still takes place. Is there evil in the hearts of men? But like police officers or your police department cannot admit to the fact that racial profiling exists because it's illegal.
It's like the wage gap.
Yeah.
Like you cannot pay a woman less than a man.
Yes.
It's a crime.
Yes.
So it makes it difficult to like, okay, well, what kind of economic jujitsu are they doing to screw over the chick? And
yes.
I just,
it could.
Is it
I'm
worth
not gonna,
that?
Yeah, I'm not going to.
It could happen.
It could happen,
dude. I'm not. But it would the effort.
But if you ask the person that was doing it if they are being sexist by paying the woman less because she's a woman, the guy would just go, no,
yeah,
because it's illegal.
It's illegal.
And in his mind, he'd be like, "You're goddamn right, I'm doing it to that stupid bitch." But he's never gonna fucking say it out loud. So ask, what is the point of asking your question when you think that you're going to get the answer of like, oh, all the time we racially profile. Oh yeah, you got us red-handed. Oh, you got us, councilwoman. The point.
God, you're so smart. These questions are so great.
The point of being a good politician in that point would be to you want to trap someone into a box where their answer is going to be the gotcha, not to make a question in such a manner that the guy, just by saying no, is the gotcha back at you for asking the question in the first place.
Well, it was hilarious. She followed it up with, so do you racial profile? No. And then 30 seconds of shuffling her paper. Like I said, she oh, this is called paper. There's words on it. Maybe I can read. She finally, oh, well, you said earlier that you do stop and frisk in certain areas more. He's like, yes, but that's a crime happened. Now, had she asked that question first, it would have looked better than she, clearly, like she's so didn't get it to the point where it was like, oh, you didn't just fucking blurt that out. God damn it.
You're so looking for your white supremacist domestic terrorists that you're finding them wherever you want. Like it's to say, like you're so convinced that these things are existing that you have to go out and find the person that sees the world the same way that you do, because everybody else is like, it's illegal. It's probably not happening the way that you think it's happening. And when your entire administration are only the people that see it that way, they're like, it's a hammer looking for a nail. It's like, see that, we got to go get rid of those parents down there, those pesky parents that are at those school boards, because they must be domestic terrorists, because they're telling school boards, don't indoctrinate my kids into, sex and racism.
Well, yeah, don't have anyone, drag queen or not, expose their units to 5-year-olds.
Yeah,
that's all I think most parents
that's
want.
The ridiculous other side of it. Yeah,
and I'm not, dude. Like, if you want to sign up to go to the drag, cool, that's on you if you want to do that as a parent. But the ramifications of that we've talked about. the sexualization of kids. But for someone to go, yeah, I don't want my kid to see a dude's unit at any point, right? For however many long till they get older, right? It shouldn't be a question of like bring in the law.
Yeah.
Like you
Well,
look so bad by doing that. Like
Well,
so fucking bad.
that's what I'm saying. Like when you have one side that's like, look, white supremacists, and everybody's like, yeah, we know they exist. They're just not a problem. And then on the other side, everybody's like, don't sexually groom my kids. And they're like, we're not doing that. And then they're like, why is there a school field trip to a strip club? Why is there a book of how to give anal sex in an elementary school? These are apples and oranges. Like one, we're just like, yeah, it exists. Like racial profiling. Is there a cop someplace in America that's doing it? Yeah,
Probably.
yeah. Is there a police department someplace in America that's behind closed doors? Like, go get those minorities.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. How big of a problem is it on a national level? It's not one. Is it the federal government's job to go into that police department and say, you'll roll up that newspaper and smack them on the nose? No, that's the state's job, the state that they're in. If the state's not doing their job, then maybe it's the federal government's job. But on the other hand, how many schools are grooming children? How many of them are politically indoctrinating them into, for lack of a better way to put it, un-American values? Like these, like one, I'm going to say them all, and the other one I'm going to say 31 dudes for 13 states.
Yes.
Like these are apples and oranges again. Like where do we need to be worried about like 31 dudes that couldn't even load up a U-Haul, or generations of children that are not going to be able to think for themselves? What's the bigger fucking problem?
Dude, not only not that's, I would say that's the biggest thing, but it's like emotionally damaged, psychologically damaged kids. I mean, like, so in my job, just dealing with people, the vast majority of issues stem from a psychological issue, even if they're manifesting at the time that they feel the need to call 911 as a physical issue. And these are people, who haven't been indoctrinated like this and haven't had their ability to think for themselves destroyed, haven't been exposed to all these things we talk about that actually rewires your brain into a very submissive state.
Yeah.
The whirlwind that's going to come in the next 10 to 30 years of these children who are now and growing up is going to be something I don't know if we're capable of dealing with, like in a good way, like in my opinion.
Well, did you heard about the Washington Post? Like I was gonna talk about this in a week, but like it already peaked, right? So first of all, they had one reporter that basically lied about who she interviewed in regards to like the Johnny Depp trial. I think her name was Taylor Lorenz.
Yes, you're right.
I can find the other one here.
I did hear part of this.
So this went on, and so this is what's going on at the Washington Post. So then the other thing that occurred outside of the Washington Post is, or outside of that story, because she turned around and blamed her bosses for sucking. And then there's another reporter that went out and she got into it with one of her buddies or one of her coworkers because he, and I shit you not, like he liked a bad joke. I wouldn't even say I wouldn't even say that it was a sexist joke. It was just a bad joke, right? She liked it, or he liked it, and then she got after him, and then he had to apologize, and then he got suspended for a week without pay. And so after that occurred, like she got hammered because everybody was like, okay, you can get off Twitter now and you can stop being a fucking idiot. And Felicia Sonmez is her name right here. Her not only did her bosses, but her coworkers started coming on Twitter. And again, Twitter. She started coming on Twitter, and she's like, no, like this can't, the dude will not abide. The dudette will not abide this. And she kept going, and they were like, knock it off. And she kept going until they fucking fired her ass. So why is it?
Wow.
Yeah. Why is this a big deal? You're talking about we're going to have a generation. If we have generations right now that are doing shit like this, these are people like this. Felicia Sonmez and Taylor Lorenz are covering
Oh, I know.
stories with political implications that could swing elections, and they can't even function like mature individuals in their workspace to know the difference between a joke, to know how to professionally deal with certain personal issues, with not bringing them onto fucking the world's dumpster fire, which is Twitter, right?
You love it.
Yeah, I hate Twitter. Um, like, and I've had to go on to Twitter because we're trying to do our podcast, venture. But like, yeah, so now you have you're sitting there telling me like, oh, like in a couple generations we're gonna have a problem. I'm telling you, like, if in a couple if we're gonna have a problem in like 20 or 30 years, we're already getting a taste of how bad it is now. Like you have people like this.
Oh, for sure. No, I wasn't
Chasing the dragon
obfuscating the
named
fact.
dopamine. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't, dismissing the fact that we're in the growth stage of a fire. It is definitely, it's been lit. It's got all the necessary components to get going, and we're just gonna start adding fuel and oxygen and just make it just with the last few years addition of all these even stranger, more violating, topics for the kids, with the, like you said, the anal sex for 6-year-olds, safe anal sex for
Dude,
6-year-olds.
we have young ladies that are graduating from high school that have already had sex with dozens of
Yeah.
of males.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one thing
Yeah.
that's not great, but I'm talking about 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds seeing, being exposed to things that turn them into, yes.
Well, if they're doing dozens now, and then you're on your indoctrination factory with 6 or 7-year-olds, you're gonna have in like 20 or 30 years, you're gonna have like young women that are walking out of high school, like, with triple digits, and they have their own OnlyFans going on, and they, like, they're professional sex workers. I mean, that,
Yeah.
like, and that will be more the norm than it will be like the albatross, so like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is the evolution of, I don't want to call it evolution. The how this plays out is, there is no better until you. It's the nihilism that we've talked about. When we started bringing up the postmodernisms, and we started talking about them and Jordan Peterson. And I remember some of the books or pamphlets they had us read in college for certain things, and I remember the idea that, yeah, when you kill it, when everything's bad, right, and yet everything has to be burned to the ground, and you have nothing to replace it. Well, we're seeing what that is.
Yeah.
It's just everything you don't like can't exist, because you can't wrap your head around the fact that someone would have an idea that isn't yours,
Yes,
or is different than yours, and then this is the real world manifestation of that, and it's not good. I mean,
well, imagine a workspace, if it could function in, like you said, in 20 or 30 years, where it was only women like this.
Dude, it's already there. It's getting to be that point.
Well, yeah,
it's so you're right. It's already terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that unless, okay, so CNN just had they have a new Zucker's gone,
Yeah.
right? So I can't remember the guy's name. CEO, not a CEO.
Well,
yeah. So this gentleman came in, and he's doing. It seems like he's realized the issue, or at least is attempting to, Chris. That's right, Chris Light. Yeah. So to make some changes to these.
He told Brian Stelter he's one of the ones on the block.
Yeah, Brian Stelter, and I think all of these dingleberries.
Yeah.
And so partisan. He didn't say hacks, but partisan hacks.
Yeah.
You know,
The people that are coming on with the political the
pure political rhetoric, the breaking story,
hyperbolic political
rhetoric. He said, you know, he's going to get rid of the breaking news over, like, you know, man ran over a woman's foot on a bike, didn't know, you know, whatever dumb shit that they try to turn into news.
I believe what I read is he basically politely tried to say, hey, knock off the breaking news banner on everything.
Yeah.
They didn't listen. So then he had to like write guidelines up to be like, this is when you're allowed to, like, you know, like they're like business as usual, like boss ain't going to change us. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to fire you unless you stop acting like morons.
Yeah, I mean, when you give the keys to the kingdom to the loonies, and it's like, stand back, and they're gonna burn it to the ground. I mean, there are hundreds of people on the internet who are not part of CNN who get more views per show than CNN. So yeah, I mean, unless this happens where they go, all right, hold on, we're gonna be functionally and financially done, obsolete in fuck all, like, now, if we don't make some changes, right?
Screw you, CNN.
So
screw you.
So if that happens, you might see a change.
Yeah.
You know, but again, you know, you're still trying to weed through.
It hurts my eyes.
Yeah, it does. It's so bright. Trying to weed through the you know, the swamp of people coming out looking to get into that job that have that fucking ideology. And to be honest, like, I know I've said this, I don't totally blame them. I mean, they're essentially brainwashed. Like, you go through life and all you hear is X, Y, and Z, and then it just reinforced all the way up to the fact that you get a job.
I don't even think it's necessarily that they're brainwashed. I think that, like, we've gotten to the point where we are giving jobs out. Like I was telling you today with the guy I watch on YouTube, Eric July, he was pointing out that there's like 1,300 jobs or something like at Ohio State that are essentially like diversity, vice president of diversity and butthole wiping. Like, there's like all these fake HR jobs. He literally was calling them fake jobs because they are. All they're going to do is make your whatever institution less efficient. But we've gotten to the point where, like, a Brian Stelzer is not intelligent enough to be doing the job that he's doing, right?
No.
We talk about, like, the press secretary for Biden, not intelligent enough to be doing that job. And we've gotten to the point where, like, we have given the keys to the convenience store to people that should, you know, not be having the keys to the convenience store. So I don't even think it's about brainwashing, because certain people that operate above that level should be immune to the brainwash. They should be able to think. Like, you're back to my cultural entropy the other day, like democracy and stupidity. Like, you are giving the ability to vote to people that should not have the ability, or I shouldn't even say should. We have decided that we want to give the ability to vote to people that wouldn't normally want or care if they could vote. And you're giving jobs to people that would not normally be invested in the outcome of elections if they were allowed to function on their own. And then you're like, American democracy, right? You be good guy, right? Vote Democratic. And they're like, oh, okay. And then you're like, you big boy now, you be CNN anchor. And it's like, oh, okay. Like normally it's like, dude, like, here's a mop. There's the men's bathroom. That would be the job of these guys.
That, or the ceiling of their.
Yeah.
You're right. Look, I know a lot of people who are actually on the relative intelligence scale. They're not
dum-dums.
They're not dummies. They're smart. And it's like this. But what I say is, I work with a guy who introduced me to a book called Breathe. And it goes over how important breathing through your nose is, essentially, right? This guy, in the book, he had these issues. Doctor had him clog his nose. All these things got worse. He breathed through his mouth. He stopped doing that. He took the stuff out of his nose. He used porous tape to cover his mouth, and he slept at night like that, and breathed through his nose only, and all these ailments went away. Breathing is that important to breathe fresh, clean air through your nose. When the virus, when the virus of old 2020 came around,
of unknown origin,
he was one of the ones that was like, wear a mask at all times. It's so important. Wear the mask that blocks all the oxygen. Like we have masks that basically, oxygen particles are bigger than the virus, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey man, you're a smart guy. Like all we do is talk about different books we've read. What the hell's going on? Like what? So this isn't just, the guy with the mop.
Yeah.
This is what I mean by it is like, if the information or the news that you've gotten from your trusted sources over and over says certain things, like, or from school, or you go to college and it's just like this reiteration of whatever. I don't even know what they teach anymore. I stopped listening a long time ago when I was in college. It's all useless at that point. You're going to end up with people who aren't dummies, but they believe.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, if you have someone at the top of the food chain that is like, no, right? Because like, if you're giving the keys to the kingdom to people that are based purely off of like, I don't know, you're box checking either because they meet ideological purity tests, or they meet ideological purity tests and they have certain immutable characteristics, like, they like putting their genitals in other people's like whatever, like they're black, they check certain boxes. Like, you're not getting the most competent people at the head as the captain of the ship in the first place. So like it's going, whether or not they're necessarily the most intelligent people in the world, like you're not selecting for the things that make them the best. Like the guy that should go, hey, I'm going to not wear my emotions on my sleeve as I go out in the nightly news. Or here's the thing, to prove that we have really stupid people in positions that should not be, that where we shouldn't be stupid. A school teacher should be bright enough to realize that whatever they're teaching kids, whether or not they agree with it or not, is going to scar that kid for fucking life.
You would hope.
And if they don't realize that, they're too stupid to be teachers. Because I mean, I worked with kids, like when I graduated from college, just got done coaching football this year. You can't. I don't want to say you can't. Every bad day you have with a kid is a mark that they're going to carry for the rest of their life. Because if you treat a kid badly every day, eventually they're not going to be able to dig out of a hole. It's not that you have to be perfect around kids, but I realized that like when I was 23 and working with teenagers, that like it was probably a bad idea to show up to work hungover.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was like, oh, I can't go drinking with my buddies. Like, oh, this is not like, if I was 23 and I realized I have to have my A game to go deal with teenagers, like if you're a teacher and you're just like, it doesn't matter what your ideology is, you should be trying to teach objectivity. And if you can't teach objectivity, I have to question either your ethics or your intelligence. Probably a little bit of both at that point.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like I was so worried that I'm always so worried that I'm going to scar the kids. Like even doing something as stupid as coaching football, like I come home some days and I'm like, God, I shouldn't have said that to that kid.
Because you don't know Walter. He's comes across as someone who may or may not give a fuck, but you do, because it matters. You try, and sometimes you don't, but it matters because what was the phrase? We're trying to raise the heathens that are going to take our place. What was
barbarians?
That? Barbarians, little barbarians. But you want them
civilize the little barbarians
to do a better job than us. Yeah. If you care.
And the thing is, like what you're talking about, if you have people that are so weak-minded that they can be brainwashed and then they can just be flittered out into all these positions, our species is a lost cause.
It's like idiocracy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, this is why it's somewhat hard for me to be the skeptic all the time is because like I have to believe that like the ship can be righted. I mean, that's one of the videos I want to do coming up pretty soon about like why I think things are actually going in the right direction. But at the end of the day, like if everybody that's going to be a teacher is fundamentally that corruptible, huh?
Retarded.
Yes, retarded.
Yes.
But corruptible, then it's not just that we need to do a better job at picking our teachers. Like we're screwed. We're always going to pick bad teachers.
Well, that's the only people that can be applying to be teachers.
Yeah.
At that point, right? I mean, if whatever's attracting someone to do something, you either need to change that bait, or the only pool that exists at all is what you're talking about.
Well, and this is one of the things that have been talked about over the last, because I think everybody kind of agrees that 2016 was the turning point in culture in this country. But where are all the conservatives? And I'm not a conservative, neither is my co-host really. But the thing is, like, where's all the conservative counterpoint voices? Like I don't see the same level of, if Matthew McConaughey goes out and does this impassioned speech for gun control, where is the conservative counterpoint to Matthew McConaughey that can come out and say like, shut the fuck up? Like that's the thing. Like, did you hear about? I will pull this up. Was it the defensive coordinator for the Washington Commies? He got fined $100,000 because he basically said like, January 6th is nothing compared to the Summer of Love.
Yes.
Right.
Jack Del Rio. That was actually pretty fucking awesome,
yeah.
dude. I'm not gonna lie, that is dumb. Oh, the Commanders! I don't even pay attention to these idiots.
They're commies. They're the commies. They're Washington Commies. That's what they should be called. And the thing is, like, I probably would have quit. Like I flat out, if what he said, and for those at home, I will try and find what he said, verbatim for you. But let's see. The 59-year-old coach, former Oakland Raiders coach, head coach, retired Pro Bowl linebacker, described what he termed two standards for society's reaction to protest. One, he said, sees no problem when people's livelihoods are being destroyed, businesses are being burned to the ground, while the other regards, it just flipped on me, a dust up at the Capitol where nothing burned down as a major deal. And again, if you
downplay, but apologize for downplaying the insurrection. They say they keep using the same words. That's
he acknowledged the description was irresponsible and negligent. Now, I'm not trying to say that like I think that you should be conflating your freedom of speech with the fact that you are going to, especially in a position that he's in, be attached to your employer, right? I mean,
people do that every day, though.
Yeah, they do. They do. And if he had said the opposite, where he's like, like mostly peaceful protests and January 6th was an insurrection.
And
he would have got
a hand job.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to protect him from the fact that the commies can do whatever the fuck they want. Because he's their employee, and if he's burning their brand and it's not protected, that if someone's political speech is going to hurt your business, then they can get their ass fired. But in this particular case, what I'm getting at is that if they're not going to, I thought what he said was rather benign. And if they're going to fine him $100,000 over saying something that I thought was benign and moderate, he didn't come out and say anything horrible. And if they can't even back you as from that standpoint of just like not our business, like I don't see what the problem is with what he said. Why are you working there? Because now like what you think that they're going to have your back when some 36-year-old pro-abortion supporter in the diversity and inclusion HR department decides that they're going to fabricate an Amber Heard story against you. You think that they're going to have your fucking back at this point?
Like, no.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, well, especially when they he'll continue to advocate for the right to peaceful protest.
Yeah.
I mean, are they still calling it that? Like, you can burn literal cities to the ground over things, and it's peaceful protest. I don't know, man. That just annoys me only because.
Well, and this going back to Twitter, this is the problem with Twitter right now. That I don't know how much people understand is going on with Elon Musk. Is if Elon Musk figures out that like 20% of Twitter is bullshit,
Oh, bro, it's more than that.
Yeah, if some of the numbers are saying it's 50 to 80%, like you have this small minority that is being manipulated into the zeitgeist for everybody to think that this is the line that they're supposed to toe, the brainwashing that you're talking about. This is how you do it. I can't be on the other side of this line, because if I'm on the other side of the line, I'm the minority, and everybody wants to be in the majority because it's easier to function, because that's how we're biologically wired.
You want to be part of the group, man.
Yes.
I love this. It's called "Fuck the Mob."
Yeah,
like that needs to become that needs to become the rallying cry for anyone who just doesn't believe in having to do what other people tell you what to do, just to make themselves feel good. It's like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know we're going a little bit off the rails with this little thing, but it's having an opinion, whether people like it or not, is the literal thing that makes a difference between our country and every other country. I mean, what was it? Prince Henry or Harry, or whatever, Meghan Markle's dipshit. He came over and he's like,
the cucked Prince.
Yeah, cuck Prince. Well, he said this whole freedom of speech thing's bonkers, because you can't say the things that we can say here in literally any other country, and it should actually make us harder. It should make us tougher. It should make us more resilient. But we become gigantic, vacuous pansies. Really, I mean, that's what it has. I mean, have you ever called me by my name when you text me or call me? I don't remember. It's always some insult, and it's like, cool, I don't care.
Yeah,
it's like sticks and stones, man. And what he said, that was the dude's opinion. If you want to, like you said, if you want to find him, cool. I would be like, hey, Ron, you're a pussy. I'm out. Good luck figuring this shit out. And I know how to attack your offense, so I'm gonna go take this down the road.
Good luck with that Gruden fucking lawsuit that's coming down the pipe.
Yeah. So it just it blows me away that I hope that you're right, like about there's a what was it there? What'd you say a while back? There's a not a turn in the ship necessarily, but they're at least trying to steer in that direction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm telling you, like, by and large, it's easy to point out how things are going south, but like, I'm telling you, everything is wins right now. Like, and it may be hard to see, but like, the fact that they capitulated and passed this bullshit watered down gun control measure is a sign that they know they can't get shit. And some of the stuff that they would pass is going to be so fundamentally unpopular. So did you hear I will get back to where I was going to say in a second.
Keep going, man. I love all your stuff.
Did you hear Trudeau came out, the Prime Minister of Canada, and said that you don't have a right to use a gun in self-defense?
Yes, I saw.
Yeah,
I thought that was a joke.
No, and then he was like, this idea coming up from the South is infecting our country. That they think that people in Canada think that they're allowed to do this. He's like, if you go in to buy a gun other than to say it's for hunting or sport shooting, you are not allowed to buy it. If you go in to buy a gun in Canada and say it's for protection, you are not allowed to buy that gun. So this is what he said. And I bring this up because, like, down here in the US, like, the more some of this stuff comes out, the more everybody's like, wait a second, I don't like this. And they already made being conservative the new punk. Like,
yeah.
And eventually everybody's like, well, I don't want to be on the square team. I want to be on the punk team. I want to be on the counterculture team, because that's the cool team to be on.
How'd that switch happen, man? Like, I was talking with somebody about that. All the people that cared about their health and were against big pharma and against banks and against big corporations taking over are now like porn stars, just working up from all angles. And I can't figure out where that switch happened. Did you have we talked about this before? Like there was a definite switch, like
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine. It was like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, right?
Well, they've always been. Yeah.
And I know, but friends of ours that were like, bro, don't you know the corporations, banks own the pharma, and the farmer does and they keep the food, and they poison, and it's like, dude, all the stuff you said, I agree with you then, I agree with you now. Why are you on the other side now?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well,
Like
it's like Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees fans. Like, how do you take a Boston Red Sox fan and convince him to be a New York Yankees fan? A lifelong Boston Red Sox
lobotomy.
No, I'm just saying, like how would you go about doing that?
I don't know.
Now baseball teams change, right? Like if year to year baseball teams change, right?
Players, yeah.
Yeah, the players on the teams change. Coaches change.
You're not gonna,
but
unless your favorite player. If your favorite player,
but if you're lifelong Boston, like
who was only a fan because of,
I could dox ourselves. I'm not going to dox ourselves too bad.
If you were a Dante Bichette fan and Colorado, Rockies, and he got traded, and he was the only reason you liked that team because he embodied the team to you. Yeah, I could see that. But if you grew up a Rockies fan, good luck.
Well, if the New York Yankees left and went to Boston, right? You might stop being a New York Yankees fan. Well, you'd have to stop being a New York Yankees fan. Would you continue to be a Boston Yankees fan?
Like the way the Giants left New York to go to San Francisco,
or
LA Dodgers,
the LA the Rams left LA and went to St. Louis and then came back to LA, or the Raiders left Oakland and went to LA and then went back to Oakland and then went to Las Vegas. Like, would you at that point change your loyalty? I mean, that's the question that you're asking, and I think that's what it takes, because essentially, like, we're so tribal, we're hardwired to be tribal, and that tribalism, like, people put those labels on ourselves. Like a while back, we were doing our podcast on what does liberalism mean, what does conservatism mean, because I don't think that, like, to bring up a good old Princess Bride, I don't think that word means what you think it means, right? And these words, the actual spirit of these words have shifted, semantic shift, so much over the years. And you have someone like our friends growing up that have always put the badge on themselves that they're on the left, they're liberals, they're Democrats, like, or maybe they haven't been Democrats, but we vote Democrat because voting green is stupid, right? And so you put all these things on these people, and then all of a sudden, all the ideology behind it, the players in the lineup shift over time, and then they're still Boston Reds, or they're still New York Yankees fans, but none of the same players are on the team, right? I mean, what was it? Who was it? Was it Phillip Rivers was the last San Diego Charger on the LA Chargers? So the last link to San Diego, because the Chargers also left San Diego and went to LA. The last link that the Chargers had to San Diego left. They are no longer the San Diego. There's nothing left to root for if you're a San Diego Chargers fan, because they're dead. I don't know if there's. Well, no, Aaron Donald was on the St. Louis Rams. I believe he was on the St. Louis Rams before they came back to LA. But I don't know how many St. Louis Rams are left on the Rams. The Raiders just left, right? So there's pieces that remind you of what they were, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, over time, the New York Yankees Murderers Row, which is one of the most renowned baseball lineups in history, all those guys left. They all retired, but they're still the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of these people do. Like, I'm on the right side. I shouldn't even say the right side. I am on the correct side of history, right? And that's how these people function. Like, again, like, it wasn't so long ago that the Democrats were just like the Republicans, and they were like, marriage is for men and women, or for a man and a woman.
Yeah, like this century still, like, even our president
Yeah.
said that numerous times. Our last, previous Trump president, before Trump president. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's but that's the thing is,
Because the zeitgeist said that's what they had to
yeah,
say.
I guess that would be, so they have zero they have zero morals or standards to live up to, that would, to change your ideology or your ideas or your view of the world so dramatically that it's a 180.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying. Like even Border Patrol, like they're big into that in 2014, 13. So yeah. So that's always, and what you said makes perfect sense. I don't. It's crazy to think about that. You'd be like, oh yeah, no, all those things that I would just near tears talk about, fuck them. I don't
Well,
have anything to do with them
and that's the
anymore.
thing. Like going back to like the internet and our technology and how fast information moves. Like if you knew what some of these baseball players were up to back in like the 30s or the 40s or the 50s, like if you knew, you know, I don't want to say this because this is kind of it'll come off the wrong way, because there's very few people left that historically lived during some of these times to realize what actual was going on from a race standpoint. Like I don't know if you grab the dude off the street in New York, if what he would think about like black people. I don't know, I wasn't there, but like if you realize that some of these guys, what they were saying and doing behind closed doors, especially when it came to like race, because we know, what was going on in the country prior to, to modern times. Like I don't know if you would like the players on these teams, if you knew their ideologies, if you knew everything about them the way that we do now. Like,
Well, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that like nowadays that people, this going back to, I don't think people are, it's not even fair to say intelligent. I think it would probably be better to say like they lack self-awareness, because going back to being able to have an internal monologue, that it's very easy to just have someone stamp boilerplate like, gay marriage equal good.
Makes it easy.
Yeah, or gay marriage equal bad. And without actually having to take a stance, like the abortion issue, to sit there and go like, well, I'm kind of a moderate, and therefore, and I'm not saying this is what I believe. I'm just saying, like, if someone were to go like, well, I kind of think it's bad, but I also don't think that it should be illegal. And then someone goes, well, let's start discussing the ins and outs of this, right? And someone's like, well, I guess like I would ban third trimester abortions, but I would allow first trimester abortions. And you're like, oh, okay. So you have this more fully functioning idea behind it than just like a thumbs up or down. Go Boston, go Yankees,
Yeah.
right?
And nuance to
yeah,
it.
some nuance to it. Those people that have that type of ideology is probably going to it's going to be less able to just shift over time. Like that's where you're talking about like your favorite player left team A and went to team B. Well, now you're rooting for team B, right? That's probably more likely. But in this case, like people that are like, this is what we're supposed to do. Pharma good now.
Like, yeah. No, I mean, yeah. It's just a weird thing to watch.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, if you have self-awareness, yeah.
I mean, look, I'd like to be better every day, but I fail miserably all the time. However, it's a weird thing to watch somebody go from the complete opposite on most things, and within 5 years, now they're on the other side. It's like, well, hey, I thought we were friends. I thought we agreed on this stuff, yeah. Or at least on parts of it.
Our I should be careful about this, because if anybody ever listens one day, some of our friends that are on the left, if like I was talking about the other day, if we made your ability to vote have to be a few more hoops, and I'm just talking, you go down to a store, you get a picture ID, you verify your identity, and then you have to go to a physical site to vote. how many of our friends on the left, or I'll even go a step further, our friends on the left on the right, do you think that they would probably not be voting very often after having to do that?
I mean, shoot, yeah, it's when that thing when those how many ballots did I get? 4. When those 4 ballots show up, it's easy. You just sit there and do your thing and drink a beer or whatever you're partaking and fill it out, and you don't have to leave your premises. Makes it easy.
But there are even people that like once they get it, they're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yes.
And then like 4 days later, they didn't.
And then
I'll be honest, I didn't vote this time for the midterms or not the midterms, the primaries, because I was like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's pointless.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, how many of our friends, just the act of having to put out that much amount of effort,
that little amount,
and I'm gonna go right now and say like 75% of the people we know wouldn't vote just from that act. I got to go down to the store. Well, I
maybe
yeah. I had to go get my passport, and that like a few years back I went and got my passport, and that was a little bit of jumping through hoops.
That's gigantic pain in the wiener.
Well, yeah, but let's just say that being able to vote took about plus or minus that level of execution to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think 50 to plus. I'd say 50%.
Yeah.
75 is high. I'd say 50%, only because having done
you're goddamn right. If I did what it took to go get my passport done, I'd fucking vote in every election. I'd be like, motherfucker, I got my passport. I jumped through these hoops. I'm fucking showing up.
Yeah, and you're gonna be, like you said, you're gonna be informed. You're gonna at least know who the hell. You're not gonna be relying on the $25 someone gave you, and
it's not gonna be very easy to just go DR.
Yeah. Yes. And they should make it easier. We've actually talked about doing some breakdowns, some people that are running, for controller from.
I think in a perfect world, they would make it harder because like you would have already put the effort out. Like they wouldn't have to explain anything to you. That's how dumb.
Yeah, but they hide, that's the thing is there are layers of what these people are actually about that they hide behind. Who gave them money? What companies, there's all these things.
Speaking of which, I was on the massive, like you already know this, but just so our audience knows, I was on the Massachusetts campaign contribution page and just scrolling through the councilwoman Julia Mejia, who decided that she was gonna she may allegedly intimidated a police officer using her position of authority, and I was just scrolling through her whale campaign contributors that were in the $1,000 club, looking at who was on there. Like there was an advocate or an activist that was on the board of the ACLU that gave her $1,000. Just going through, clicking away, like, yeah, there's stuff out there. There's transparency out there, but I think that there should be
like, how much effort, all the
effort. That's what I'm. Yeah,
but again, it's layered. Like all these, they'll come out and say one thing and it's like, cool. And like, okay, Kristen Sinema, we talk about her, right? Arizona senator, right? She's getting savvy with her game. She had come out as an outright commie a few years ago, and now she's pretending to be a moderate, toting the line, a little conservative, with her little purse and her little thing, and she's dawdling up.
Trojan
it's like
fucking horse.
Yeah, it's Trojan horse. So, but there needs to be accountability for them, because even myself, I had a hard time mulling through all of the potential, people to vote for in the primaries. It was a lot. Oh wait, no. Oh shoot. Oh, that guy took money from whoever. I can't deal with him. I can't do it because I know what that person's about, and they're saying one thing, and behind, that's politics in general. But there was a breakdown. That's all I'm saying is there was a breakdown. I thought Hillary did her best one for herself in 2016. She's talking about essentially turning the country into fascism, like working with the businesses and how we're going to do this and that. And I'm like, oh, she's calling for straight up fascism. This isn't. Wow, she just said it. That's awesome. That makes it easy for anyone that didn't want fascism if they knew what it was.
Yeah.
It's like she came out and said that shit. So
honest
communism. It's my favorite line you've ever said. but I think that doing some breakdowns of some of the people once they get past the primaries and they figure out who is going to be running, those would be good conversations. And some of the bills that people are pushing in different states and what they're all about. Giuliani on a whole different thing. Giuliani just got slapped with ethics charges over Trump election
because it's all politicized. I don't know if he did it or didn't do it at this point.
Yeah, I know. It just came out in New York and DC. His law license suspended. Blah blah blah.
Well, that's one of the things that they're talking about with some of the politicization that's going on with having geez, I did thought
small city, buddy. Yeah,
wow.
It's less than San Francisco.
Wow,
just crazy.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I remember looking at a thing. You have your downtown, and then it's just like those row houses, like not a lot.
Boston's not even like a big city. Jeez.
No.
Well, and I don't want to dox ourselves too much, but yeah, like I thought Boston was like 4 million or something.
Oh, what? Like we don't live in Boston?
Yeah.
We don't live out there. We don't live out in Beantown. You know.
Fuck you, Matt Damon.
We're not big fans of the Red Sox.
You like apples? I like them apples. But no, like they're like the ability to attack people from like because you have those law licenses, you have the doctor's license, like Robert Malone, the doctor Robert Malone that came out about the mRNA vaccines, and you have lawyers that you can go after in the same way like the red flag laws for guns. They already have red flag laws for doctors and lawyers. Anybody can come file a complaint against you, and then you activate this process. And because of the politicization of the country at a certain point, like they used to throw a lot of these complaints out because they'd just be like, this is dumb. And now they'll be like, you're Trump's lawyer. Oh, okay, we're gonna we're gonna investigate this now. Like we immediately are going to suspend your license until you prove that you're innocent.
Here's was that Michael? Okay, so you have a lawyer that worked for a law firm, Michael Sussman, who said he didn't lie to the FBI.
He said he lied to the
FBI. Sorry, you're right. He said he lied.
He
had to say it. He got off because he literally had a jury of his peers. And who were his peers? Literally his friends.
Yeah.
The judge in the case is the husband of the FBI agent, Lisa Page, who was in a relationship with another FBI agent who got caught texting each other about how much they wanted to F over Trump. So there's that. And then there's, we can, it's coming up on election time. It's January 6th. Let's slap some ethics charges. These same people and their friends in another city, same people, same group, can just go, all right, Giuliani, we're gonna slap some ethics charge on him in 2 different states. It's how easy is that? It's business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, legitimately. I mean, you talk about the joke is a jury of your peers when it's not supposed to be your actual friends.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, he got off. Why wouldn't he get off? It's ridiculous. His best friends or the people he works for, his best friends, are in charge of his freedom or not. What are you looking up?
I want to see how many registered voters there are.
They're not gonna be able to have that. I heard that they're making a big, because of that mayor that came forward in Yuma. They're
maybe 382,000.
2016.
I mean, plus, if anything, there's more registered voters, and the dead ones are still able to vote in Boston. So yeah, whatever. So yeah, I was just curious about some of the stuff in context. The big deal about the mayor or the former mayor in Yuma that was rigging elections down there. That's what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, no. So they've actually, there's a controller, county recorder who's now going through and trying to actually maybe fix some things. But there's only 220,000 people in Yuma, and there's like 3 million in Maricopa County. So it's like
this one.
Drop in the bucket. Yeah, that was her, but this just happened today. Is there? I again, I was busy today. It is Sunday, and I didn't have time to look up on this because you
You
kind
see
of
this? Was it Fulton County election fraud?
no. Is this brand new?
Yeah. So one of them they were just talking about that their like county register, whoever that was. If I can hunt it down, it's probably not good to talk about it, but one of these places they basically like said like, oh yeah, we scanned them before we verified them because that's just how we do it, and it's like, like that you just admitted that you invalidated the vote. It's like, so
Oh, really?
yeah.
Well, I know that Raffensperger is just, he was. They, here's the thing that they're talking about, but nobody's focusing on. I don't. At least I haven't heard, and unfortunately, is that you have the establishment Republicans are like, don't care that even if Trump did win, they could care less. And if they're sitting on evidence, they could care less because they don't want him in there.
Yeah.
Because he's not one of them. So they're just gonna, like, this Secretary of State and the governor and everybody is just like, yeah, we don't care unless it specifically, indicts them or something. They're not going to do anything.
My eyes.
Yeah, they're not going to do anything. So it's again, this person's basically just admitted.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, all of those states invalidated their election process because they changed the.
Yeah.
So it's whatever. It's a moot point. The point is,
100% YouTube, 100% most secure, awesome elections, not fraudulent.
ever.
Just so we're clear.
Yes. These are things that other people have said.
Yes.
I'm not creating these thoughts in my head.
I am reading news stories off the internet.
Yeah, I just like to read. This is all information that I found that I find interesting because it's just disgusting that someone would have these ideas.
Yes.
In this day and age when they come out and they've said, yes, 100%.
Gun control would 100% happen once black people get guns.
Joy Behar. Racist.
Yes.
As fuck.
Yes.
God, I hate that lady.
I didn't say it.
I said I hated her.
Yes.
I think she's terrible.
Yes.
Anyone who says something like that is just got some deep down repressed anger for black people. What are you looking at, man? What do we got?
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, it's Sunday night. We're just doing our thing. We're working on our communication skills, going over and learning how to kind of bounce back and forth.
I had to do that sound check. No, I was just saying, like, we've been on an hour 37, so I don't know if it's getting too late for you. What the deal?
Whatever,
is.
man. I just go home, go to bed, and pass out.
Yeah, so am I.
It's not a big deal, but it's I do want to read this article about those lies down in Yuma. It's gonna be interesting. If you got nothing else, yeah, we can sign off. It's cool. I don't really care. I could keep talking all night, but probably not beneficial. So
no, yeah, I mean, we're going. If you're ready,
yeah, buddy,
sign us out. And
okay, so good Latin grade, good. Number 10. If you listened and were able to listen all the way through, thank you. If like what you heard, subscribe, give a like, give a comment, and we will continue to put some things together and try to make sense of the chaos out there. So have a good one. Happy Sunday. Bye.
Oh, it's on the wrong screen. That's why.
Are you fucking this up, dude?
Yeah.
Are you fucking this up?
Where's the?
There, it's over there.
Okay, now
there you go.
All right.